Okay, well, today's the 14th. It's day 57. Bounced out of bed. Felt pretty good. Feels like I'm rebounding from the weekend. Yesterday was definitely a better day for me physically and mentally. And there were some wins yesterday that made me feel pretty good about the decisions that I've been making recently. So I guess I'll talk a little bit about those this morning. One of the ones was getting some confirmation with a friend of mine that I wasn't the only one who was seeing some issues with, say, some other people that we know. And it was nice to be able to talk with him, not in a gossipy sense where we just denigrated them behind their back, but sort of talked about what our concerns are and how we aim to try to sort of incorporate those concerns into how we interact with them, so that we don't feel like we're having issues all the time. Got some plans for the birthday. Made some sort of tentative arrangements, and spoke with the wife, and it sounds like she had something similar planned. I originally had wanted to just stay here and have people come to us, but I'm actually happy to go visit. It's good weather this time of year to sit outside and do nothing, and I think that's kind of what I'd like to do, is maybe do some fungus and just sit out and hang out and enjoy the sun and talk shit and drink beers, and then have sort of a birthday dinner and maybe play some board games or something. I think that will be fine. It'll just be nice to have some friends over for a change. Having moved here 13 years ago, it's been a while since I've had friends around for a birthday, and I think not since my 21st. Most of the time my birthdays are just celebrated by me and whoever my partner is. So and also talked about future plans. I'd had some concerns about the future plans that I had kind of tentatively made last year about getting a group together and going camping, and it seems like my concerns were shared. There'll be more chance to talk about that, I expect, in the future, but again, around a set of people that we're having some trouble with interacting with. It's nice to be validated by others who I had thought maybe were being a little more sort of hands-offish with it, and that soft acceptance of people in your friends group who are acting out, let's put it that way. And then priced out my potting bench. Looks like it's going to be around $100. Actually found that there's a place selling an actual bench for $115, and I'm starting to wonder if I shouldn't just buy the kit, and excuse me, assemble it. But I think I am going to go ahead and do it myself with the plans that I have, because I'd like to use the tools, and I'd like to put it together myself. Well, we'll see. I think the one thing I do like about the pre-made one is that it's already long, and the list of lumber that I have to buy for this other one is going to be more. It's going to be more expensive for me to do it that way. I could buy it pre-made and just have it delivered on a truck and chuck it in the back and stain it right away, and it will be, or put it together and stain it, and it'll be done. And it'll be a lot cheaper than doing it the other way. So. But then I get to start my planting, which I'm excited about. I can start putting in I can start taking the cuttings and start putting in the flower seeds into the trays that I've made, and then put them out essentially put them out on the bench and have them start growing. Have them start growing and get into that, and I'm excited for that, because it's a hobby that I haven't really developed before, and so it'll all be new. One of the things that I wanted to talk about, like I said earlier, was about feeling validated. Um, I know I've made changes in my life, and part of the reason why I've made changes was, a small part of the reason was to set an example for the people around me, rather than fussing about how they act. I figure I would just set the example of the type of behavior that I would want to see in others. And that's kind of led me to really stay motivated on it, because for me it doesn't require that I act political or concerned, or I don't have to feel like I'm pushing people along when I see people that are lagging or not doing what they're supposed to. I can just be myself, I can be honest, and just worry about my pie. And if people see my pie and they decide that they like the look of my pie, then I can say, well, if you want a pie like this, all you really have to do is kind of follow the same sort of steps that I've been following. And I'll be honest, I'm not exactly the most successful person in the world, but I got some perspective from a friend the other day, a couple of days ago. Oh, maybe it was last Thursday, actually. I forget when it was that we talked. Oh no, it was last Wednesday when I dropped the food off, the fish off. A friend of mine said that, he's like, for an immigrant who came over after being made an adult, like you were 25 when you came here, that for an individual, you've actually been pretty successful. You're living the middle class dream that a lot of immigrants who move to the United States want to live. You have a good job that pays well, you have access to good health care, your conditions are being taken care of, you have access to therapists or therapy, and you're exploring the periphery interests that you have, and you have enough money to do so. And I thought that was a good perspective to have. But there's still a lot of room for development and for things to go forward. And so it's kept me, seeing the people around me start to take notice of things in their lives that they hadn't taken notice of, or that they got sort of complacent with, and seeing those people go off and do things to correct them, kind of not in my wake but around me, in the sort of the immediate area around me, has been validating, because it tells me that what I'm doing is right. I'm not focusing on them. I'm not focusing on what's going on outside of me. I'm not putting my eggs into other people's baskets. I'm simply doing what's best for me and mine, and watching other people take notice of that and appreciate it for what it is. And that's never really been my case. I've always been happier to look, well, not happier, I've always been more miserable, but I've always had the habit of looking at other people's things and going, oh, why don't I have that? And I think I got that from my dad, honestly. As much as I love him, I think one of his faults was that he perpetually blamed other people for his problems, when a lot of it was bad decision making. And now that I'm trying to not make so many bad decisions myself, I'm starting to notice that it really does come down to you. You'll fail. I fail. I still fail. There's things about myself that I'm still not 100% happy with, and I can be pretty hard on myself about those things, but in general, it's been successful. And with quitting marijuana and video games, I think those two things have been the most instrumental when it comes to sort of getting a sense of satisfaction and fulfillment and happiness back into my life. So I don't regret quitting them, as much as sometimes every once in a while I get a whiff of wanting to do them. The vast majority of my life so far is actually free of those things and better for it. So, yeah, and I think the people around me are benefiting from it as well. Anyway, that's it for me. Have a good morning. Ka kite.